Do you know anyone who has struggled or is still struggling against mental health issues such as anxiety or depression by loved ones or family members? Have you ever felt distraught and distressed about life that you lost all interest in your leisure activities? Or you feel like you can relate your problems to everyone else's problems? In this case, you may be part of the major health crisis today. According to rethink.org, 1 in 4 Americans will experience a mental health illness at some point of their time. With that, mental health illness, such as mental health disorders, consist of health conditions that negatively impact a person's mood, behavior, and thinking. With that, in today's world, especially in the United States, the state of our mental health is declining. And I will talk about more further details on why this problem is arising. Let's discuss the two major problems associated with the rise of with the decline, of mental health in the United States. First, let's talk about the huge prevalence of stigma that revolves around mental health. Well, according to GomoHealth.com, approximately 90% of those who are mentally ill report that stigma and discrimination had negatively affected their lives. As mentioned, being stigmatized results in discrimination. Discrimination consists of negative remarks about his or her treatment and also being ostracized from the community. This leads to feelings of shame and poor treatment, which also results in self-stigmatizing, which is blaming his or herself for the problems they have. As a result of the stigma, this leads into more negative consequences, such as self-isolation, reluctance to seek help and treatment, and increase of employment discrimination and incarceration rates. With that, this is challenging to speak openly about mental health in response to the stigma that you will face by others. Second, there's a lack of coverage in providing mentally ill people treatment. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, nearly 6 in 10 people with mental illness will receive no treatment whatsoever. That's a huge amount of Americans in dire need of medication or treatment. And with that, moreover, according to the MHAnational.org, there are still 10 million people who have an unmet need for these care. That's just so disheartening and disowning. This number haven't declined since 2011. And with that, this shows how our Medicare system in the United States is flawed and does not support the majority of people in the United States. There are more private companies paying less for mental health care in facilities than ever before. This affects us as college students because this shows the possibility of our treatment not even being treatment if we were to ask for therapy. It's a shame knowing that our insurance won't cover the therapy we desperately need. Now, we will move on to solutions that can help alleviate these problems. There are many solutions in combating these two problems that revolve around mental health. First, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, there are many ways to fight this stigma. 3 major ways. First, get treatment. Even though you may be reluctant in getting treatment, this is the right way to go, and you will fight back this stigma. 2, talk openly about mental health. Talking openly about mental health will make others know that they're not alone in this subject matter. And 3, show compassion with those with mental illness. They will make sure they will be supported by other people altogether. Moreover, there are many ways of combating this stigma, such as Mental Health Awareness Month in May. Learning to accept your condition and making an impact on others can make a huge difference. They will break down the stigma that has success through many generations of our time. With your help, we can all work together, improving the lives of each other mentally and physically to resolve this issue. Second, those who are denied equal treatment with mental health coverage must appeal to his or her denial of treatment. According to 90.org, Congress has passed the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, ensuring equal coverage of treatment by mental illness, and addiction. Those who reject the treatment under this act based on their insurance should switch insurance providers who provide treatment. With that, report any insurance providers if he or she was declined access to mental health care treatment. As more people switch insurance providers, this will alleviate a curve of 10 million people who won't provide treatment. This will restore the vitality of a health insurance once again. With that, however, some might say the conversion of insurance providers might take an extension long of time. With all due respect, changing providers will serve the greater good of the people, lessening the impairment of the mentally ill who won't treated in the near future. Let's imagine that our society is very open about these subjects. There will be no stigma, allowing everyone to live happily and freely, talk of whatever comes to mind. And with that, as more regulations have been imposed on behalf of this subject, there will be more people attending therapy than ever before. Now, if you continue this path of neglecting our mental health, there will be more fatal consequences, unfortunately, such as suicide. Now, we can transition how you can make a difference today. So, what are you waiting for? Do your part by speaking against mental health stigma and show compassion to those of the mentally ill. Be willing and active on combating this stigma. You can also join a social group such as Nani when combating this stigma too. With that, moreover, be on the lookout when in identifying injustice in the health insurance industry. You never know what grim actions that are happening in the background. And lastly, get involved in your healthcare clinic and figuring out which healthcare insurance providers that will provide the right treatment for you. And with that, as Shelia once said, it's okay to not be okay. Thank you.